every single one of them since they've been here. Very excited to be back. But now we can get into the real stuff here. We got we're gonna go to the losers bracket match here. We got level 7 on the left side of your screen. On the right side of your screen, you may recognize that's Biscotto. You may also recognize him as the local Jeopardy champion in the room. I'm sure. Well, we're not going to be the first ones or the last ones to mention that. So, good stuff to him, man. Jeopardy is so hard. Like, I watch Jeopardy when I lived at home. I watched Jeopardy every night with my dad, and that is such a hard show to like prep for. So that'll be the last time I mention it for now. So.
It'll be fun to see if he's able to transfer some of his button mashing skills from Jeopardy into this game. Going up against level 7, and this is actually going to be one of his final tournaments in New Jersey for tonight. Unfortunately, he will be moving and leaving his friends behind. But as you can see here in top 32, he is hoping to go out with a bang.
Yep, the Umber Witch versus the underdog boxer from the Bronx. So we're going to get into it here. Little Mac versus Bayonetta. A matchup that historically, Pearl, hasn't always boded well for Little Mac, but, you know, anything is possible. This character is known for close quarters combats and being able to slug it out with some of the best of them. So as long as level 7 can stay in center stage and, you know, not find himself in those precarious recovery spots, should give himself a pretty decent chance here.
Yeah, for sure. Little Mac is a character who has very excellent movement and momentum when he is playing mostly a grounded game, and that is unfortunately the opposite of what a character like Bayonetta wants to do. Biscotto here is going to be trying to take level 7 as fast to the stratosphere as he possibly can. As you can see here with the Witch Twist coming back up and getting some pretty quick damage, sending level 7 off stage, still able to recover to the center of the stage, but the two of them now just trying to fight it out in the center, and then not going to get that combo into the Witch Twist just yet, but the two of them still trying to go at each other.
Yeah, and here we go. KO Punch is online, though, so if you're Biscotto, you have to be mindful of that. You know, as much damage as you can do, that can happen to you, and that is going to swing the momentum of the set in level 7's favor with that equalizer.
Absolutely. Level 7, absolutely knowing how to use that. Going to be sent pretty far off stage here, trying to go for the back air, and unfortunately not going to get that stock. Pretty far off stage, though, while Biscotto is hanging at the ledge. This is not an enviable position for level 7. Still able to recover, though. Biscotto, as you can see here, trying to retreat to the other sides of the stage in order to avoid these swinging punches coming out from level 7, and that's going to be the end of his stock, without Biscotto really having to do much that last stock.
Yep, yeah, exactly what you how you try to write it up against Little Mac, especially when you have like an offstage presence as good as Bayonetta's. So as long as Biscotto can keep that sort of pressure on and avoid, you know, these like close quarter situations like that, that was some pretty suspect DI. That could have been disastrous for Biscotto, but able to get back to the ledge. And again, despite, you know, the percentage difference, it is Little Mac. This is certainly not out of the realm of possibility for Biscotto here.
For sure, and as he's trying to maneuver level 7 upwards and onwards into the Witch Twist and just coming back up to the stratosphere of the stage, level 7 is actually going to be able to recover Rage pretty far ahead, but actually that is going to be the stock, the landing back air from Biscotto, going to seal out another stock for him in this set.
Yeah, that could have been another scary situation for Biscotto with the KO Punch online, but able to keep that combo up for so long that the KO Punch was relegated to a non-factor there. And now, continuing to keep these vertical combos on exactly where you want to keep Little Mac, right above you.
For sure. You can see level 7 able to get out of that Witch Twist specifically, and now with KO Punch online, Biscotto needs to be really careful in order to avoid anything coming from level 7. KO Punch still online. You can see Biscotto, though, trying to go for a combo starter as he's coming back into the ledge. Now you can see he's just trying to stall for a little bit, trying to get KO Punch away, and that, unfortunately, is going to be the end of his stock, and level 7 still has KO Punch, so right now is when Biscotto needs to play so carefully.
Yeah, that could have been a really dangerous situation if Biscotto didn't get that initial hit on there to disengage the KO Punch, but able to do so relatively nicely. Forced to air dodge back down to the platform, but using that platform to cover the landing nicely does level 7.
For sure. The rapid jab coming out here from Biscotto as level 7 is at full rage right now. Biscotto needs to be careful, but so does level 7. Center of the stage. Unfortunately, this is where Little Mac excels, and Biscotto knows that. However, it is going to be the landing back air that seals out game number 1 for Biscotto.
Yeah, great stuff there. Again, a little bit of a hairy start there. You know, the KO punch is one of the most humbling things to be hit by in Super Smash Brothers, but Biscotto able to right the ship and do what one does against Little Mac. You know, you keep this character in the air for as long as you can, and that's that exact situation I was talking about, where Biscotto was able, or excuse me, level 7 was able to get that KO without having to use the KO punch to bring it to that last stock, but wasn't able to get it off there. Let's see if he can change his fortunes here in game 2.
Absolutely. Going into this, we're getting started with some pretty solid neutral between these two players. The grab coming out from Biscotto, able to put some damage on the board. However, it is now level 7 who's trying to go for some down tilts here in order to get some damage. Biscotto trying to get something started here as these two are just sort of clanking between each other. Biscotto being forced off stage now as he's trying to recover against level 7. Good thing that a character such as Bayonetta has so many off-stage options. Gonna get grabbed underneath of the platform here as these two are just trying to reestablish themselves yet again.
Yeah, something I'm noticing here from Biscotto is that he's going for a lot of these grounded afterburner kicks, which against most characters I think is pretty good, but because Little Mac's stature, not only is he so short that might not hit him, but you're also putting yourself right in that character's wheelhouse where he wants to hit you. And we see that up smash kick the KO there. So if you're Biscotto, you really have to be careful of, you know, where you choose to invade that airspace.
I think that was very well put, Koopa, and as you can see here, level 7 seems to be really hellbent on trying to elongate as many of these combos as possible. The Witch actually coming back out to stage here. Biscotto trying to land with the down air there, but unfortunately not going to get punished here by level 7 yet, but going to get some damage, and he is on his second stock now, and then going to get a pretty big punish, but you can see level 7 still able to recover and full rage on line 2, just catching Biscotto out of the down air.
Yeah, Biscotto being turned to crumbs on that second stock right there, but able to answer back with a wicked weave up smash of his own. So a little bit of work to make up here, but again, it is Little Mac. You know, this character is susceptible to some very early percentage KOs, but let's see if Biscotto can get that going. Gets the down air, but not the spike that you're looking for.
I can see he's trying to send level 7 off stage more, which is commendable. However, I really do think that what Biscotto needs to do is try to send him upwards. I really do think that although a character like Little Mac struggles off stage, Biscotto also seems to be pressed for time here, especially when he is this close to losing that game, and you can see level 7 able to take that pretty strongly there.
Yeah, the judges are going to give that one to that round to Biscotto, to level 7 there. Excuse me, boxing joke. You know, we all got them. But yeah, we're gonna take a look at some of the highlights here. And again, things just kind of steamrolled just a little bit quickly here for Biscotto. You have to be very careful against Little Mac. You know, if they're able to get those KOs without having to use the KO punch, it just means that your time on those following stocks are shortened significantly. And we're gonna see the costume change here, taking the sweatshirt off.
Yeah, you know, he's all warmed up now, and it looks like so is Biscotto as he's trying to go for some of these combos here, coming in off the ledge in order to try to avoid some of the momentum from level 7, and then actually going to avoid even more, though, as he's retreating to the upper platform away from level 7. Coming back in, Biscotto going to the center of the stage in order to try to reestablish his spacing, but going to eat up some damage here from level 7. Coming back over the upper platforms and now able to put some damage of his own onto level 7 here with the afterburner kick into the witch twist now.
Great stuff there from Biscotto, getting the afterburner kick to the right of the stage, and then going for it again and immediately going for the Ferris ring off stage to end level 7's stock right there. So getting off to a strong start here.
For sure, and it looks like Biscotto is determined to keep this streak going, trying to get as much damage as possible, unfortunately. Oh, going to be able to avoid that up B there from level 7. Wonderful momentum there from Biscotto, able to maintain his damage, and then able to know when he is putting himself into a precarious position to avoid it. Great stuff.
Okay, goes for the up B again and gonna find himself in a vulnerable position. Great read on the air dodge there from Biscotto, and using the neutral B for the first time in his set, I think, in an offstage scenario. Something I thought he would do a little bit more, and a great read on the roll there. Bayonetta is gonna get one in the side of the head right there.
Yeah, trying to go for the witch twist off stage in order to disrupt level 7, but he's still able to recover to the center stage and actually put some damage here onto Biscotto, going for the aura moment, for the hype moment and aura read with that up smash there as he's being sent all the way to the other side of the stage. Coming back in, not going to get that tech just yet though, and then able to go for the witch twist into the afterburner kick, trying to put some damage here onto level 7. Although he is still technically up in percentage, Biscotto knows that a character such as Little Mac is the comeback king, and he needs to be absolutely careful as to letting him get his openings.
He's gonna go back to the ledge here, and this game is much closer than one would have led to believe when this first started here, Burl. Ooh, but does not get the stage tech.
Well, unfortunate there, especially as Little Mac. You need to be on point with your stage techs, as you are not going to get a chance to recover, and just up being there, unfortunately going to put himself in a really risky position versus Biscotto, as he's going for so much damage here, trying to get some of these jabs, the witch twist into the afterburner kick, and as he sends him upwards and onwards into the stratosphere, not the stock just yet. However, level 7 is on his final legs, while Biscotto still has 2 stocks left on the board.
Yeah, this has kind of gotten away from level 7 very quickly, so gonna have to make this count. Gets the side B there. Just kind of pump himself up a little bit before this potential final round here. And KO punch is probably not going to be a factor here. I think there's just too much percentage on level 7, you know, for the game to go that far. But, you know, we'll see if he can kind of milk it to get it within a range of that. Anything's possible here.
I think the only saving grace he can really get is the fact that he is going to reach full rage before Biscotto. And really, there's not a whole lot that Biscotto will be able to do with full rage compared to level 7. Coming back in here, you can just see level 7 is trying to avoid these witch twists like his life depends on it, because it does. Biscotto coming back in from off stage with the afterburner kick. These two just sort of going around the platforms. At 159 percentage, you can see Biscotto getting the final game in such a nail-biter set. 2-3 or 2-1 for Biscotto, and the hug at the end too. It's just wonderful to see people who are friends at tournaments playing each other.
Yeah, that's great stuff. Again, we love to see great sportsmanship. I hate to see the set end that way, unfortunately, with the side V missing, and Little Mac doing the Buzz Lightyear in Toy Story where he just falls to his demise. But again, really got that into a much closer set than, you know, what it would have led you to believe earlier. That's just the beauty of Little Mac. He swings so hard that the momentum can swing in your favor at any given time. So definitely a bit of a nail biter, but Biscotto coming out on the top there. Take a look at some of the highlights here, Pearl.
For sure. And actually, I do think that Biscotto was able to show some pretty good adaptations in game number 3 compared to what we saw game number 1, and even game number 2, the game that level 7 took. Because as you were saying, he was putting himself into a lot of precarious positions, either by trying to fight level 7 on the ground, or doing things such as landing with dare, or trying to go for things like the afterburner kick from the center of the stage rather than sending level 7 upwards. And that's exactly what level 7 took advantage of, whereas game number 3, it was Biscotto who was sort of forcing level 7 into those up B situations where he could essentially punish him to his heart's content.
Yeah, again, I was very curious, you know, why Biscotto wasn't using more of the bullet arts in the first 2 games. I just feel like that's just such a good strategy against Little Mac, especially because his recovery is nothing to write home about for sure, but it does force the character to go in a much more linear path back to the ledge. But it was nice to see him kind of adapt that and throw that in there in that last game. And again, trying to keep him on at bay there. That missed tech on the ledge is unfortunate. I'm sure if you're level 7, you'd love to have that back. And here we go. The real dangerous stuff here. Unfortunately, that air dodge is just too far past the ledge. That's going to be Biscotto coming out on top. And a deep breath in. There we go. Love to see it.
It's really unfortunate that this is going to be the last that we see of level 7 at a Fusion tournament for a long time, as it's not going to be easy for him to come back after he moves. But that being said, this is not the last you will see of the 10-time Jeopardy champion of Biscotto. So, you will be seeing him moving on in bracket. As you saw, he was 56th seed at this tournament, and he's in top 32. So, coming out on top, always what you would want to see.
Is Aura. There we go. There's your Jeopardy joke, everyone. That's all, and that's all you're gonna get out of us. But yeah, good stuff, man. You love to see these. You love to see everybody show up for these sort of things. Like you said, it's for level 7. You hope he finds his way back, to Fusion in the future. And as one does, your friends will always welcome you back with open arms when you do. So, as looking at the rest of this bracket here, quite the